I think a lot of cartoonists, because we are always drawing from memory and imagination, we tend to get accused of drawing ourselves over and over again. Especially cartoonists like Mike Allred or Jack Kirby. If you look at their faces, especially Jack Kirby's like Hulk, anything that looks particularly monstrous, it looks just like him. I've drawn myself so many times that I definitely have a version of myself that's in my head, like a sort of cartoony, stylized version that I could do thoughtlessly. In my studio, I have a bar mirror next to my computer and my desk, and so I look in that sometimes, which honestly isn't helpful because there's a lot of text on the bar mirror, so I don't know why I don't get one of these. For this portrait, because I'm working from observation, I really want to try and break that down a little bit. This time, want to go for something that will express maybe a different side of myself. I really didn't want to overthink my approach to this piece, so my initial instinct was to just jump in to the finished drawing without doing any preliminary sketches. However, pretty quickly into this process, I realized that that was the wrong way to try and loosen up because, in fact, I wasn't loosening up at all. I was really just making the safest possible decisions about the way I was drawing my portrait, and also just, especially the composition was very bland and centered. So after working on this unsuccessful composition for about 10 or 15 minutes, I decided to throw the whole thing out, start fresh, and actually do some thumbnail sketches to work out what it was I wanted this self-portrait to look like. Doing these thumbnail sketches was kind of tricky for me because, looking at them now, I really don't like any of them or any one particular sketch. I like aspects of a few of them. I think I'm probably going to end up going with a combination of my third sketch and my second sketch primarily. Compositionally, I like the idea of my head just kind of coming out from the very bottom of the paper without, cropping away the collar, making it sort of look like I'm just emerging from off the composition. Stylistically, though, I do like the last sketch I did. I feel like that's where, maybe because I was getting frustrated, I started to loosen up a little bit, and the mark making that I was using started to get more interesting. And that's really what I want to get out of this piece, is to do something that's a little different for me and breaks down the old habits that I'm so reliant on. Because I didn't totally figure out my composition from the thumbnail sketches, I'm a little hesitant as I start. I'm trying to just block out the bigger shapes first and sort of figure out how I want my face to fit inside the composition and how much exactly I want to exaggerate the proportions of the neck. As I continue working, though, I am feeling myself begin to loosen up and get more comfortable with the charcoal. Because normally I work in ink, and haven't really used charcoal in quite a long time, I am finding that I'm very hesitant to make really dark marks and to start using the compressed charcoal because I want to try and avoid that graphic look that I use so often. I'm finding that as I get more comfortable and a little less timid about it, the marks I'm making, the graphic marks, are actually having really nice quality in that the charcoal, as I kind of twist my wrist and make different shapes, the mark making is something that's really exciting me. Now that I have some of the darker shadows blocked in, I'm feeling a little bit more confident, but it does feel a little haphazard and a little clumsy. So now I'm thinking I need to start to refine some of the highlights and sort of get a little bit more clarity with my marks and start working on more of the smaller details and a little bit less on the broad stroke of the image. I am getting a little frustrated with the expression that I'm trying to put down on paper. I've been so focused on the proportions and figuring that out that the sort of grin, the exaggerated grin that I wanted from my thumbnail sketches isn't really coming across. And so now I really want to try and get that to be a little bit more refined. I don't really know how to approach the musculature of the neck now that it's been so greatly exaggerated from what I can see clearly in the mirror. Even still, I keep finding myself getting sucked back into the eyes and mouth of this face and trying to tighten those up. I'm not sure that the facial expression matches the one that I had envisioned in my thumbnail sketches, and that's really frustrating. I have captured the reflected light
on that surface. And now I'm beginning to realize that I have to add that element to the other areas of the piece where it's present. And that is finally making me feel some degree of satisfaction with this image. I'm honestly kind of surprised at how difficult it is working on a portrait like this to not get just sucked in working on the finer little details of the face. I find that I keep tweaking my marks in the eyes and around the mouth specifically, instead of kind of bringing up the piece as a whole and all at once, as I often try to do when drawing other people. And I think maybe there's an element of vanity in that. You know, it's hard to look at your face for so long and try and draw it and not get sort of absorbed in, oh, well, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look right. I have to keep reminding myself working on this, that's not my goal here, that I don't really care that much about the likeness of this particular drawing. I really just want to, again, express something new about myself and try to see something new in a drawing of my stupid face.
Doing thumbnails for this piece, doing the thumbnails in this was kind of rough. No. Doing thumbnails for this piece was difficult. Doing thumbnails with this piece